Right now, without thinking, you are doing something no other animal on Earth fully understands. You are using language, not just sounds, not just signals. You are taking an invisible thought inside your skull and firing it, perfectly intact, into someone else's mind using nothing but shaped air. But here is what nobody tells you. For most of human history, that ability did not exist. Your ancestors walked this earth for hundreds of thousands of years before a single word was ever spoken. They built tools, they buried their dead, they crossed oceans, they did all of it in silence. So what were they actually doing? The answer is stranger and more beautiful than you have been taught. Paleoanthropologist Joanna Talaman has spent decades studying the origins of human communication. What she found is not a clean line between silence and speech. It is something messier, something far more human. Before language, your ancestors had a system. It just did not look like anything you would recognize today. Think about the last time you were in a room with someone and no words were needed. A look, a gesture, a hand on a shoulder. You already knew exactly what was being communicated. That is not a modern invention. That is the oldest form of human connection on Earth. Researchers believe the earliest humans communicated almost entirely through gesture, touch, and expression. Primatologist Michael Corballis at the University of Auckland argues that language itself may have started in the hands, not the mouth. Early humans pointed, they mimed, they acted out hunts before they went on them. Imagine your ancestor crouching in firelight, moving their hands to show the rest of the group where the animals were, how many, which direction to run, no words, just hands, and everyone understood. That is not primitive. That is sophisticated coordination without a single syllable. But gesture alone could not carry everything. And this is where it gets remarkable. Your ancestors also had sound, just not words. Musicologist Stephen Mithen at the University of Reading proposed something called the Hmmm Hypothesis. Before true language emerged, early humans may have communicated through a system that was holistic, manipulative, multimodal, musical, and mimetic. They hummed, they sang, they used tonal calls the way a mother uses a lullaby, not to say specific things, but to create emotional states in the people around them. When you hear a piece of music today and feel something you cannot name, that is an echo of the oldest communication system your species ever had. And it worked. For hundreds of thousands of years it worked. Groups stayed together, danger was warned against, children were raised, cultures were built, all without a single word like danger or food or love. But something shifted. Somewhere between 100,000 and 50,000 years ago, something in the human brain began to change. The fossil record shows it in art, in burial rituals, in trade routes that span hundreds of miles. Your ancestors suddenly started behaving differently. And most researchers believe language was the trigger. Here is what that moment would have felt like if you were there. Imagine living your whole life in a world where you can only share what you can act out or hum. And then one day, someone makes a sound that means something specific. Not a warning call, not a tone, a word, a label for a thing that exists even when you cannot point at it. Suddenly you can talk about yesterday. You can plan for next week. You can say the name of someone who is not in the room. Linguist Daniel Everett spent years living among the Piraha people of the Amazon, one of the most linguistically unique cultures on Earth. What he found challenged everything. Language, he argued, is not a biological inevitability hardwired into every brain. It is a cultural tool shaped by the needs of the community that builds it, which means your ancestors did not wait passively for language to arrive. They built it. Slowly, across thousands of generations, they constructed the most powerful technology the human species has ever created. And that technology is now so deeply inside you that you cannot turn it off. Right now, even in silence, you are narrating. Your brain is running a constant internal monologue, labeling, judging, predicting, replaying. You cannot experience a moment without language rushing in to describe it. Your ancestors lived inside the moment fully. No narration, no inner voice, just presence. And in some ways, that is something you have been trying to get back ever since. Every meditation practice, every moment of flow, every time you are so absorbed in something that the voice in your head goes quiet. You are touching something ancient, something that existed in your ancestors long before the first word was ever spoken. Language gave you everything: the ability to plan, to imagine, to build civilizations, to transmit knowledge across generations. But the silence it replaced was not empty. It was full of something you still carry. Right now, without thinking, you are using the most powerful tool your species ever built. And somewhere underneath it, the older thing is still there, waiting, wordless, and completely aware.